I realize that if everything on earth has a purpose, there's got to be a purpose for me. There's something that I can do that nobody else can do. And so I don't have to try to be somebody that I don't want to be. I just have to be what God wants me to be one day at a time. And so I made a promise to myself and to God that I was going to do what nobody else wanted to do. And doing what nobody else wanted to do has led me where I am today. And it took me to a little country church in Marion, Alabama, because nobody else wanted to go there. I had a job in New York. I was trying to run for the Olympics in 1952, and the superintendent of the church said, look, if you don't go to New York, somebody's going to go. Everybody wants to go to New York. The Olympics are going to be held whether you are in them or not. But this little church will fall down, and it won't be anymore if you don't go there. And I said, golly, that's something that only I can do. So I ended up going to this little godforsaken place I'd never heard of, Marion, Alabama. And you know, almost all of my life has centered around that town, because I met my wife there. But also Martin Luther King met his wife there. Ralph Abernathy met his wife there. And we didn't know each other, but they knew each other. Where did we get the Voting Rights Act? Selma, 30 miles from Marion, Alabama. What was it that led to the march from Selma to Montgomery? The fact that Jimmy Lee Jackson got shot in Marion, Alabama. If Jimmy Lee Jackson had not gotten shot in Marion, Alabama, we wouldn't have had a march from Selma to Montgomery. We might not have had the voting rights bill. I'm saying that God has put the world together and you're a part of it. But in order to do what needs to be done, you have to look deep within you and discover what it is that you can do that nobody else can do. And then when you do that as well as you can, you will be a success. Now, I ended up going to work with Martin Luther King, but I didn't go to work with Martin Luther King. The church sent me to teach people how to read and write to register to vote. And the office they gave me was across the hall from Dr. King. And his secretary said, look, you're new in town, your wife's still in Alabama. Will you help answer his mail? And that'll keep you out of trouble. And I said, well, I don't plan to get in any trouble. She said, yeah, but trouble would be finding you in Atlanta if you're hanging out in the streets at night. So she gave me a big box of mail. And so every night I'd write 20, 30 letters for Martin Luther King until I got the box emptied. And that's sort of what put me close to Martin Luther King. I wasn't speaking to him, I was answering his mail. And finally he asked, who's been answering my mail? How does he know what I think? And you know, I had gone to the same kind of school. He went to Morehouse, I went to Howard. It wasn't all that different. He used to think that Morehouse was so much better than any place else. But I'd cut him a little slack and not argue with him, since he had won a Nobel Prize and been on the cover of every magazine in the world. I said, yes, sir.